Hello beautiful souls, and I'm here for just a bit of a story time and something that I've been a bit hesitant to post. It doesn't seem that bad because a lot of people do feel like this, but I feel like it's just something that has affected my life, and maybe to this day I'm still kind of going through it. And it's something I kind of wanted to help at least someone else out there who may be experiencing or may have experienced what I've gone through in my life. It's just like, I feel like because I'm such quite a teacher or mentor sort of role that I play in my life, it makes me think when I become this vulnerable and when I do really open up about my life a little bit, it makes me feel like I'm kind of like not being that role. And I don't know why I put that pressure on myself, but I feel like this is something that I'm quite, it's a bit of I'm overall a very overly sharing person. Well, I used to be anyway, and then I really closed off for the last year about my life because I just didn't want anyone knowing about it. But I feel like when people understand my story, that's when people can understand like that for someone to work with me, they would understand who I am and where I'd come from. So I'm just going to get straight into my body shame disorder. I've had this for a long time, probably about 11 years ago, or maybe 12, I don't know. I've had it for a long time. I started to do dancing a lot, and I just like really loved dancing, and there was just so many skinny girls around, and it kind of made me think that, oh, like, do I need to be this skinny? Like, I always had this like, I want to be like her, or I want to be like her. And my mother's quite judgmental in terms of physical appearances because it's based on her insecurity. And I know that that's part of who I am from that sort of insecurity, sort of maybe potential judgment towards other women is because of that sort of experience. Dancing definitely made me feel like I wasn't enough. Like, I never was good enough, like the way I looked, or like the way I looked, or the way I danced, or it was just never enough for that teacher. I loved it so much though, so it was really hard for me to find that balance between loving dancing and also, setting boundaries. But as a 14-year-old girl, actually we were pulling it back all the way to I was probably about 10 years old actually. So yeah, 15 years I've been insecure about my looks because that's when I really started dancing. I've always kind of compared myself to the most skinniest person in the class, and I just like always very insecure in that way. I also had a boyfriend, or every boyfriend really I've had have always been all about looks, and if you weren't looking good then you would look somewhere else. And there's a few occasions where I was told that I needed to lose weight when I really didn't, which really led me into a really bad eating disorder. It was just like combined of not eating to overeating, and to this day I'm still kind of suffering with that sort of food mentality because I feel like I've got some sort of either IBS or leaky gut or whatever you call it, and these days I've almost manifested my stomach issues because I was so worried about my stomach that I ended up having some sort of food allergy over it. So it really did manifest because of that sort of energy I was putting onto that. My boyfriend, he just like really did a lot of things to me emotionally, not physically, spiritually, mentally, everything. I was kind of traumatized from that connection. And I did go through a bit of ups and downs with different men who just always made me feel like I just wasn't good enough. Like my stomach wasn't good. I just felt like I wasn't skinny enough for everyone else. I even tried to get into modeling just to make me feel good. Like I was so insecure, and I tried everything I could, diet pills, under eating, overeating. I drinking 9 liters of water a day at one stage. It was just so ridiculous. But I send love to that person because that person got me to the person I am today. So, as much as that was quite a bad period in my life, I did feel like I kind of evolved into the person I am today with helping other people. I started to party a lot as well, which really wasn't the best. It wasn't the best sort of, at the time it felt like I was just, having my phase, but it was really because I was just so insecure, and at one stage I just wanted men to want me. And I would do like dress really very little, like very show-offy, just so men would look at me. I would always like kill for the one night stands and for men to show me attention. I just loved it, and I really realized this was very connected to a past life of mine, where it's literally a mirror, a literal mirror of that life. Something I've really realized is that insecurities will always be there with you, right? It will always be there. Once it's opened, right? You can never put it down. You can never say, I'm never going to be insecure in my whole life about this one thing. Because the life is challenges, and life will throw things at you to trigger you, whether it's friends, family, teachers, whatever, right? They're all going to trigger that insecurity to see how far you have dealt with that trigger and that wound. These insecurities will be with me for the rest of my life. I'm still suffering from it because I've got very bad digestion. I've got digestive issues, and I'm trying my hardest to find foods that work, and then some foods don't work, and it puts me in a really negative state. And then if I eat and I bloat up and I'm like, oh, I look fat, and it's just like, I get in that sort of, the 10-year-old mentality. And I really realized that, especially the last boyfriend told me, he's like, you're never going to get over the insecurity. You're never going to get over it. It will always be there, it will always flare up. And the only thing you can do now is obviously find ways to maintain that and sort of monitor it and make it not so loud, right? We get that loud sort of voice in our head. It's like a radio station. We either turn it down just to turn it down a notch because we don't want to hear that voice anymore. And we don't want to put it down either. We want to let it know that it's, we thank it for coming up because it cares for us, but we're choosing not to listen to it. And I'm in a stage now where I've admitted, and I've never admitted to myself I had this disorder. And I don't like to say I've got a disorder. I don't like to use those terms, right? But I feel like it's quite necessary for my background, from what I've gone through. Like, that's only, I don't want to get so in depth with my life, but that is only one snippet. Like, I've just gone through some areas of my life that's just made my body image just so bad. Like, I've never met anyone that's had such bad body image than me. Like, I would always just look at people and go, why, like, I used to think of people who are a bit bigger than me, I'd be like, why don't they care about the way they look? Why do I care so much? Like, why do I look in the mirror and just care so much about the way I look? Why? And obviously I was a PT, I went down the fitness industry, and it really led me down even a much lower track, because we have these masculine sort of perceptions that we have to look a certain way, and that was just damaging to my soul. Like, that was so damaging. As much as I'm still a trainer, I still teach people spin and stuff, but it's that small aspect of going into the weights area and doing weights, I literally almost have a fit. Like, I'm just like, this doesn't feel right anymore with me. As I used to be in there like 6-7 days a week, twice a day, because I was in the industry, I wanted to look good. We had these expectations as working at the gym that we had to look a certain way, and I just never fit it. And it's just been really, really hard for me to kind of put myself out there, because I feel like it's more acceptable these days, but I definitely feel like sometimes just people may feel you're weak if you speak your truth. And I felt for a long time that when you were insecure about your body, that was okay. and that was normal. And it's really sad because there's so many people out there that think being insecure is okay and that's normal, and that if you're not insecure then you're kind of like it's just kind of abnormal sort of thing, right? And something I realized is that to say like part of my story, like, because I'm going to start, my guides at least are telling me to start posting more personal stories about my life. You know, there's so many people out there that just don't love themselves, period. And there's so much more to not just loving yourself. Like, you don't just love yourself just because, right? There always is a reason. And, you know, for my case, my mum's judgmental and insecure. So I've embodied my mum's traits, the feminine side, right? As well as I was around a lot of feminine girls. I was around dancing. I was even around partying. And because I was having that sort of, that feminine look out, I was wanting the masculine sort of to say, no, you look fine, sort of thing, right? When I was only law of attraction, right? I was so insecure that I was attracting men who were also insecure and wanted women who were more confident. And that led two insecure people to looking at someone who's quite confident. That just makes us both insecure, right? And, you know, something that I realized is that, you know, everyone's insecure in some way, and I know that's okay. And, you know, whether it's body, whether it's the way you look, skin, whatever, right? But the thing is, we're prone in this world to think that it's okay and it's normal. And I always say, and this is why I say this, because there's always a reason why you feel like that. We are not born in this world to be insecure. We aren't born, we're little kids, we're innocent little beings. We don't think about insecurity. As kids, we didn't care what we looked like. No one cared. No one gave a crap, you know. And as we got older, someone triggered that wound. And insecurity is hard to close. It's hard to put a band-aid on. It's hard to pull it down to make it like it doesn't exist, because once it's open, it's open. And you've got the control now. If you're watching this, you've got the control now to change that, but it's never going to truly go unless you admit to yourself that you've got it, right? For me, I always knew I had body image stuff, but it came to me recently that I was like, wow, I actually I've got a bit of body image disorder. I know I do. I know I don't look at myself 100% with love, and I do some days, but some days I don't, you know, and it's always the days that my stomach flares up on me. And I always think, okay, cool, let's go to the wound, which I know where the wounds are, and it's all connected to a lot of my past lives as well. So if you need a past life reading, you know to shoot me up. But it's always a connection to that. So I feel like I'm just saying this to share part of my story, but also to just like open sort of a conversation up and say that if you're insecure, why? You know? And it's like we put on weight. Why? We don't just put on weight just cause, right? We put on weight because we're emotionally imbalanced. And the moment we face those emotions is the way the weight actually goes off. You know, everyone's so consumed with losing weight and weight gain and weight loss, health and fitness journey. Let's get on the health kick, you know, start. And it's so great, but it's not the root cause, guys. The root cause is the emotional. So connecting to our emotions, why do we eat this? Why do we feel like we have to indulge on his? Why do we have to feel like we have to do this? The physical aspect is great, but it actually is a bit of a band-aid to what the actual root cause is. Because you see everyone going through a cycle. I mean, I've worked in the industry for so long now, and I know almost 95% of people just go in that cycle, right? And it's because the emotionals haven't been balanced. It's the physical has been the distraction of how they feel inside. So in my case, I know exactly what I have to do, but it's not something that's going to happen overnight. And self-love is so preached like it's this thing that's just going to happen overnight, and we just love ourselves by painting our nails and feeling great. And as much as I'm so big on self-love and self-care, and, you know, it's part of my business, you know, but it's not everything, and it doesn't happen overnight, and it's not something that we can just flick the switch and it'll be all good. Yeah, so this topic is so important to me and comes to me from my dear heart, because it is part of myself, and it was something that I denied for a long time because I didn't want to be that, you know, that girl that is so insecure that no man wants, right? You know, no man wants a girl that's insecure, and if you're putting yourself out as insecure, the man's like, oh, next please, right? So this is something that I've always put down, or not put down, I've always known, but I could never, it's like almost took me out of control. I like couldn't control it. It's like I'm so insecure. Like I can't stop thinking about my body. I can't stop like looking at other women, like, you know, seeing if they're better than me, like picking out other people's flaws so I feel better. You know, it's something that I just haven't had control over. I mean, I do, since I've done the spiritual work and I'm a teacher and stuff like that, it's definitely calmed down a great deal. But it's still there, and I think something that I'm sort of just putting out there as I'm sharing something that, you know, wounds, like this is a wound, and it's a wound for a long time, so I can't expect it to grow in a year. But I also am not in denial, and I think that's where the actual healing is. So, you know, if you are feeling like this and you feel like you're in denial about it, the first thing is just admit to yourself that this is something, and this is probably something you need to work through. Know where the root cause is, know why you actually feel like this. For me, I know the reasons why. It's just about getting through the other parts of actually embodying the self-love. And also it's a journey. So of course that twin flame definitely brings that up for us all. But it's something that's gonna take a while. Like if it's taken me 15 years to be in that frame of mind to now be like, oh, well, then I'll just snap my fingers and I know my practices, I'll just get out of it. That's not like practical, right? So just know that if you do feel like this, the one thing is being out of denial, right? And actually admitting that you've got some wounds that need to be addressed. Doing the fitness and health and fitness isn't going to solve it. It will not solve the issue. It will only mask it for a little bit till you go back into the cycle again. And it's something that we think that, oh, healthcare, eat healthy, and like I'm vegan, and that just still didn't change. If anything, it made it kind of worse. I had IBS from it, and I've had stomach issues since I went vegan, really, and because we had to eat a great abundant, you know, eat big stuff, and I think that's what really screwed it up, to be fair. And I will never go back to meat and dairy, but I feel like since being vegan, it really did stuff my stomach up, because ever since I went vegan, it really didn't go well for a while, and hasn't really been the same since. So I'm never going to change that, but I'm just knowing that, you know, going back in my life and dissecting where has these issues come from, and yeah, just admitting to myself, I think that's the main one. So if you're in your self-love journey, good luck, and admit to yourself that if you do have body image shame or whatever comes to mind, admit that and work through that, and have people around you that support you, that are not going to judge you and think you're really insecure and go, oh, here she goes with another flare-up or something. Because you need people who are going to be there for you, understand you. So yeah, I like to be quite vulnerable, and I'm going to try and share a little bit about things on Wednesdays. But yeah, love to hear you guys' views as well, and yeah, like and subscribe if you want. Otherwise, I've got services on the description below. So have a great morning, night or evening, and namaste.